You ever see something so crazy, so flat out impossible, it makes you question everything you thought you knew about people? I swear, the day an 8-year-old girl from Iron Mountain, Utah, picked up the Army's most advanced sniper rifle at Fort Hawthorne and did what no grown man there could do. Man, that was the day reality took a back seat. Colonel Walsh. He handed Hazel Brown that 30-pound monster for a photo op, not knowing he was about to get schooled in front of every Top Gun on the base and a couple hundred shocked families. Just hold it for the camera's little girl, he sneered, thinking it'd be cute. You know what I mean? Just a little show for the crowd. But here's the thing. While Walsh's so-called elite marksman had whiffed the 2,000-yard shot all morning, Hazel's little hands went steady, her green eyes narrowed, and she started adjusting the scope with the kind of focus you see in old souls, not second graders. People love to talk about genetics, about how legacy runs in your blood. But that day it wasn't about what was in Hazel's veins. It was about what her dad, Marine sniper Gregory Brown, had poured into her heart up in the cold Utah mountains before he got killed overseas. Gregory left behind a Purple Heart, a daughter who could split a tin can at 300 yards, and a widow still learning how to breathe with half her world missing. 3 weeks earlier, Angela Brown opened the Army's invitation to Family Appreciation Day with trembling hands, and Hazel just nodded, swinging her little legs, not really getting what fallen hero meant, but knowing her dad wasn't ever coming back home. So there they were, a mom and her girl, standing out on that high desert base, mountains crowding the horizon. Angela's old Toyota surrounded by shiny SUVs. Hazel pressed her nose to the window, whispering, "It's bigger than I thought," and Angela squeezed her hand, telling her that this was where Daddy trained before he wore the Marine stripes. At the registration table, officers recognized Gregory's name and gave them VIP seats, one of those military things where people honor your loss by moving you closer to the speeches, but it only made Angela feel more alone. During the ceremony, Hazel's mind wandered. She watched soldiers scanning the crowd, their eyes sharp and restless, reading the room the way her dad taught her on those long mountain days. Watch everything, not just what's in front of you. After the speeches, everyone wandered to the weapons demo, and that's where they met Colonel Walsh, a guy who wore his medals like armor and ruled the base with a cold, political edge. He hated these family events, hated any distraction from his rigid, serious business. He was the type to think emotion was a liability, not a tool. "Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to see the finest marksman in the world." He bragged at the entrance to Precision Valley Range, and people nodded, phones ready. Targets were set at impossible distances, a row of pro snipers lined up, and the air was thick with that "don't mess this up" tension. Master Sergeant Bradley took the first shot, missed. Second shot, missed. By the third, Walsh's jaw was clenched so hard you could hear the teeth grind. "Atmospheric variables," he barked, blaming the wind. Dr. Lane, a civilian ballistics expert, tried to explain it might be the rifle, but Walsh cut her off, ego wounded. Meanwhile, Hazel, all quiet intensity, watched the dust, the shimmer of heat on the rocks, the way the flags flicked along the range. "The wind's doing something funny," she murmured. Captain Fox, one of the few women officers and someone who'd fought her own battles for respect, overheard and, instead of brushing Hazel off, asked her what she saw. "Daddy taught me to watch everything, not just the target," Hazel said, and Fox nodded, her own respect growing. Walsh, noticing the exchange, stormed over, bristling. "This is a professional demonstration, not a playground," he snapped. Angela bristled, too. "My daughter's just making an observation, Colonel." Fox intervened, reminding Walsh who Hazel's dad was. Walsh, sneering, decided to teach this hero's kid a lesson. "Maybe you'd like to try holding the rifle, for the cameras," he said, thinking he'd put her in her place. The thing was, Hazel didn't hesitate. She walked up to that gun like it was just another day on the range with her dad, set the bipod, nestled behind the scope, started tweaking the adjustments. Soldiers exchanged looks. This wasn't a kid pretending. "Scope's off," she said quietly, "and you're missing the thermal layer downrange." That's when the twist landed. Sergeant Torres, pale, leaned in. "Sir, that weapon's loaded. We prepped it for the next demo." For a split second, the world stopped. Walsh realized he'd handed a live round to an 8-year-old, in front of families and media. Panic flickered across his face, but Hazel was already locked in, reading the wind, breathing slow and deep, her father's voice echoing in her mind. "I can hit it," she said. Walsh, voice cracking, barked for security, but Fox put up a hand. Let her speak. Dr. Lane, sensing something bigger, asked Hazel what she saw. "There's a thermal inversion about halfway," Hazel said. "Wind cycling through 3 patterns. If you wait for the window, you get a clear shot." The pros were stunned. Lane turned to Walsh, her voice urgent. "She might actually be right, sir." Walsh, boxed in by his own arrogance and the silent crowd, finally spat. "1 shot." Hazel's little fingers steadied. Her world shrunk to the scope and the target 2,000 yards away. In the silence, you could hear hearts beating. Even the mountain air felt heavy, charged. She squeezed the trigger. The report thundered down the range, and for 3 endless seconds, nothing happened. Then, a puff of dust on the metal silhouette, center mass. Target destroyed, Torres croaked. Soldiers blinked, parents gasped. Dr. Lane stared at her data, and even Walsh was mute, his authority dissolving. Hazel calmly clicked the safety, stepped back, and looked up at Walsh. "If you want to try again, you've got about 3 minutes till the wind shifts." For a beat, nobody moved. Then the dam broke, reporters, soldiers, officers swarming with questions. General Reed arrived, cut through the chaos, and, looking at Hazel, softened. "Your father would be proud." Hazel finally let the emotions crack her face, eyes shimmering. He said shooting wasn't about hitting targets. It was about seeing what other people miss. Of course, nothing stays private these days. By sundown, the video had gone viral. Angela and Hazel were hustled into secure quarters. Media swarmed the base, lawyers argued. And Colonel Walsh tried to blame everyone but himself. Some wanted to call Hazel a security risk, others a prodigy, others wanted her for interviews, endorsements, studies. But all she wanted was to go home, back to the quiet of the Utah hills, to shoot tin cans like she used to with Daddy. Twists kept coming. A surprise visit from Gregory's old Marine friend. The mountain grandma who drove all night to be there. The psychologist who realized Hazel's gift was a kind of genius for patterns, not book learning. Walsh's career unraveled under investigation. Old abuses surfacing. Turns out, underestimating girls wasn't his only blind spot. And when the dust settled, the Army gave her dad the recognition he deserved. A foundation for teaching unconventional learners, a ceremony at the White House, and a legacy that outlived the old rules and the men who clung to them. Hazel stood in the Oval Office, medal heavy around her neck, the president saying, "This medal honors a man who taught us to believe in every person's unique potential." Out in the world, debates raged about who belonged, who was right, who got to decide what talent looks like. But back in Iron Mountain, Hazel went back to being a little girl, shooting at tin cans, surrounded by the same mountains where Gregory Brown taught her to see the world, not just aim at it. And if you ask me, that's where the real story is, the quiet belief that sometimes the world needs a child to remind us that the best teachers are the ones who help you see what you were missing all along. So what do you think? Is it luck, legacy, or something deeper that makes a hero? Drop your thoughts below, hit subscribe if this story hit you, and tell us, what's the impossible shot you're aiming for in your own life?